Hi everybody, this is James Richardson, Youth Director at First United Methodist Church in Belton, Texas. And this week we're going to be starting a 4-week lesson called Open, and what it discusses is how God gives us gifts and how we should be open to using these gifts that He's given us in order to be generous to other people in His name. And so this is a 4-week lesson, and we're going to start with the first lesson, which is very simply put, it's comes from a lesson based off of 2 Corinthians verses chapter 9 verse 11, and that verse is, "You'll be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion, and through your generosity, and through us, your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God." And so what this lesson is going to be about is that everything comes from God. So we need to put what we have in perspective. God has equipped us with everything that we need in order to be generous to others. And because of these good gifts, we can be workers for His kingdom because we can be generous with things that He's given to us. So there's a website called globalrichlist.com, and what that allows you to do is to go into that website, come up with a net income that you would expect to have at your age or at any age, and you can essentially go through that and look at how much certain things cost. So you can be like, oh, well, I'm going to make $1,500 a month. So that's $1,500 a month. And you have to remember to take out money for allowance, new clothes, presents, lunch money, gas, odd jobs, doctor visits. These are ways that you can receive money throughout the year and also spend money throughout the year. And it can be so you can go on that, kind of play around with that. It's a really good website, really interesting. But it does lead to an important question to ask, which is, do you think that you're rich? And why or why not? So you can think that you're rich through the physical wealth you have and forget your spiritual richness and your emotional richness, and God gives us riches like patience, kindness, wisdom, and we have certain responsibilities. And an important thing to ask is, what responsibilities do we have with these riches that we are given? And what does it mean to be generous? That's an important question in and of itself. What does it mean to be generous? Is it just simply giving people money? Is it giving people time? Is it giving people... No, don't forget to hand sanitize after you touch your face, which I'm going to do again. Is it important? What does it mean to you to be generous? And put that in the comment down below, and we can create a little discussion based on that. And so I'm also now going to go to another book in the Bible, the book of Luke, which is one of the 4 books that discuss the life of Christ. And Luke is one of my more favorite ones, not just because it has the birth of the best version of the birth story, but it also has a lot of really good, interesting things throughout it. And in one of them, so we're going to go on Luke 3, verse 11. And this is John the Baptist talking to Christ. And this is before, Christ gets baptized by John the Baptist in the River Jordan. And the Spirit of God, in the form of a dove, lands on Christ and says, "This is my son." And so he says, people are asking him, and they're asking him questions and stuff. And one of them asks, what should we do? And John says, anyone who has 2 shirts should share with the one who has none, and anyone who has food should do the same. And that is a good way to have an attitude of giving. There's a web comic that I looked at, and it was one person talking to another person, and the person goes, I have $1 million, and I have all this stuff, I have all this good, and this person says, and this person goes, well, first person actually goes, well, I have a cookie, and this guy goes, well, I have all this stuff, and the person goes, well, do you have a cookie? And the guy goes, no, and the person breaks the cookie in half and gives it to him. And that is a attitude of giving. You don't have to feel bad about what you have, but there is a response to the conviction that comes from Christ. He can, when I say convict, it means he gave us a call, and that call was to be generous. And over the course of this series, these 4 lessons, we're actually going to be exploring how we can be generous with our time, our talents, and our treasures. And so Jesus, if you look at it in gifts, he gave us the ultimate gift. When he died on the cross, he gave us the gift of salvation. He was so generous that we can't even describe it, because he was without sin, and what he did was he made it, when he died on the cross, he gave us the ability to be without sin. And that's an important thing to remember. And to live like Jesus, in order to do that, to live like Jesus did throughout his life, giving to those who were close to him, giving to those who weren't close to him but who needed him, giving healing to people who didn't even know him but just wanted to meet him and know him. That's a very important thing to remember. And so to live like Jesus, we need to be generous like Jesus. And so in the book of Corinthians, Paul is talking to the church in Corinth, and he discusses this kind of in the scripture that we discussed at the beginning, that I'm going to read again, which is 2 Corinthians 9:11, which is, you will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion. And through us, your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God. And in us, we mean through us in the church. So as Christians, we'll be enriched in every way so that we can be generous. And through everybody else that sees your generosity, it will result in thanksgiving to God. And so sometimes, how do you know God has given you everything you need for every occasion? Sometimes you think that God hasn't given you everything you need, but when in fact he has. But an important question is, how do you know that? And so an important question to ask yourself is, where does your stuff come from? Now, God gives us the things that we need, and it's in a way that we're not expecting. So let's say that somebody gives you a gift. Well, what that does is it makes you aware that you're getting the gift, and causes you to think, well, how can I be generous to another person? Well, that's a way that God has given us something that we need. He puts stuff into perspective compared to other people with what they have and what you have. He might give you something good in your opinion, but you see somebody else and they have something better, but God gave you what you need. And God is also really good at one thing that's another place that stuff comes from is through, where do your emotions come from? And those emotions do come from God. He does take control of our attitudes. We can sometimes be grumpy, we can sometimes be happy, but God will take control of those attitudes and help steer them into a position where you can be good. And so, what is the difference between a need and a want? And so, really quick, I do this a lot when I'm going grocery shopping. I go grocery shopping and I'm carrying my cart around and I put something in it. And a little bit later, right before I'm like getting ready to leave, I look in the cart and I go, what do these things do I actually need? And if it's like a loaf of bread, some eggs, some milk, those are needs. So those stay. And a want is like a pint of mint chocolate chip ice cream. I don't normally eat mint chocolate chip ice cream, but I wanted it now. That's the thing. There's, oxygen is a need. Ice cream is a want. We need clothing. We want new clothing, better clothing, new shoes. Some of us need a phone. Some of us want the newest phone, the best phone. We need water. Some of us want video games, stuff like this. And so, in a difference in a need and a want, so needs are essential, wants are kind of secondary. And this kind of goes into our third question. So, what are some things that we have to give? These are intangible things that people truly need. So, things that we have that we can give are our time, we can give our talents, we can give our treasures, which is stuff like communication, listening, talking. Time is just, much of the same, and talents is if, somebody needs help with a building, and we're good at building stuff, that is a time and a talent that we have that we can give to them. And so in this next week, what I want you to do is to think about ways in which we can use the things that we have to meet the needs of others. And so in the next week's lesson, we'll actually focus more on how we can be open with our time with other people. But just in this next week, what I want you to do is to think about ways that while we're in self-isolation, think about ways that we can use the things that we have, the talents that we have to meet the needs of others. And just, comment below what you think some of these talents are that you have, and you never know, maybe somebody will be able to, maybe somebody will need those talents and they'll be able to talk to you. And so in this next week, just pay attention to that. And so that's pretty much it for this week's lesson. I just want you to remember that there are some differences between needs and wants, and that we need to be aware, and we need to think about the importance of our time and our talents and our treasures. Now, as usual, we're going to end this week with our highs and our lows. And so, got a nice candle here. I'm slowly burning my finger. And so for me, and y'all comment your highs and your lows below, because it's always important for us to look at the good times and the bad times, especially in a time like this. So please tell me your highs. Please tell me your lows. Please give me prayer requests, and I will take care of them for y'all. And so for this week, my high is that I have been able to focus some more on myself, take care of myself, and keep my my family and my friends and them, to keep them. I'm keeping them close and working with them, and um, we're all in this together, and so we're all staying sane together. And my low is that I have some coworkers at the store where I work that had to be put in self-isolation by the doctor, not because they have the virus, but because they have compromised immune systems, and so we have to be careful. So, and it's got to be it's kind of rough on them because uh, they both want to come back to work, and the doctors are saying they can't, and so it's rough, but we will persevere. We will make it through. Will you bow your heads with me for prayer? Lord, I just want to thank you for letting us all come here together and to learn this lesson on how to be open. And I pray that as we go into these next weeks of lessons, and that we focus on how to be open with our time, our talents, and our treasures, that each and every person who watches this is able to gain a better understanding of what you want us to do with the gifts you have given us. Please watch over everybody. Um, Make sure that they are all safe and sound, and keep them in your um, protection as we go through this period of trouble. Please remind them that you will always be here for them, and that you will always keep them close to you. Please watch over our families. Please watch over our nation. Please watch over the entire human race as we enter into a new chapter. And we do this all in the name of you and your Son, and the power and the glory be in your name forever. Amen. So, guys, thank you for watching this video, and for beginning this journey with me on these next 4 weeks, where we learn to be open with our time and our talents and our treasures and the gifts that God has given us as we enter into a new, wonderful, interesting period of time. If you have any questions, just feel free to comment below. Let me know, and we'll take care of y'all. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye.